the way I discovered what is now called wealth hypnosis was really quite interesting. I was working in my local practice, my local clinic in Brattleboro, Vermont, working one-on-one with clients on Main Street. And I had this one client that was a weight loss client, and he was actually doing great. He had prepaid for months in advance. I think he signed up for a 3 or 6 month long program. And I was hypnotizing him. He was super responsive. He started drinking more water. He started exercising 7 days a week. He started eating healthy. And I mean, he was fairly overweight to begin with, and he was burning off calories like crazy. He was losing body fat left and right. Every single time he came in, he was just making amazing progress. And frankly, I was still a fairly young hypnotist at the time, and I had worked with a lot of weight loss clients, but not for that long period of time. And I had kind of used all my techniques up. I had done all of the techniques that I knew at least once with him. And so I kind of laughed. I said, "You're making such great progress. I wonder what we're going to hypnotize you for next time," one day on his way out the door. And he chuckled a little bit and smiled and looked at me and he said, "Can you hypnotize me to sell more cars?" And I I had never hypnotized somebody to sell more cars. He was a car salesman, and he was not the top car salesman on the lot and at the dealership he worked at, and he wanted to be, right? And I said, "Well, I don't see why not." So I hypnotized him to sell more cars. And lo and behold, he comes in 2 weeks later, the top salesman for the dealership, and he just started making so much more money. He just started crushing it. He remembered every detail about every car. He was super present and connected with all the people that came in. He was friendly, really paid attention to what they were looking for, not pushy, really focused on the long-term sale, not just the short-term close. And his sales just exploded. It was really, really awesome to watch. And what I realized in that moment was that I had successfully hypnotized someone to start to make more money. And I had successfully hypnotized someone to start making more money than I was making. And that really, it was cool, but it also kind of stung because, it was just amazing. So what ended up happening was I started noticing when I had other clients who did something where if their skills or their mind or their belief improved, that it would mean they would make more money. And this usually meant entrepreneurs and salespeople, business owners and salespeople. And over and over and over again, I started having really great luck hypnotizing people to up level their money game by believing that they could up level their money game. And getting out of their own way, eliminating old beliefs, breaking through the financial glass ceiling, removing money blocks, and so on. Didn't really know how to advertise for this, so it was something that I offered to clients while I was working with them. And shortly thereafter, my local practice was booming. I had 6 separate offices that were all 1 day a week offices because I live in rural Vermont and I needed to have enough clients. So I had 6 separate offices and I was full, 8 to 10 clients a day, 6 days a week. I was in my 20s. I was going full speed. And then I went online in order to break free from my local economy. And what ended up happening is my first real full-time year online, I made over $1 million. I made over $1 million by applying myself, by using my own wealth hypnosis techniques. And in my case, I was selling other people's products and services to make my first $1 million because I wasn't good at writing sales copy. I was just figuring out email list building. I didn't have any products that I could figure out how to sell online. Then my early attempts failed. And long story short, I ended up making over $1 million in a year from my little dingy apartment. And that completely changed my life in my late 20s. And so that was a kind of a wake up call for me. I went on to create to sell over 250,000 customers and clients who purchased my programs, all of which contained hypnosis and mindset programs. And so I've been working with hypnosis pretty much exclusively, doing wealth hypnosis for 15, 16 years now. I occasionally still teach marketing, or occasionally will take a marketing consulting gig or something, but most of the time I'm working with high level clients, entrepreneurs to up level your money game.